It was such a kind of cool and deadly thing that Rishi said. They wanted to give people 48 hours to imagine him being so kind of outspoken and murderous as to say something like that before go, no, he's the same boring bean counter you always thought he was.
I quote, Rishi thinks, just let people die and that's okay. This was reportedly the view of the Prime Minister of COVID during late 2020, as recorded by the then Chief Scientific Advisor in his diary. This came to light last week in the COVID inquiry, and I was shocked that Downing Street didn't categorically deny it. So could I ask the Prime Minister today, how is it that people who were closest to this issue, who he worked with day in, day out, at the top of government, how on earth did these people get the impression that the Prime Minister was okay with people in our country dying?
Minister, I think he's got the question, Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as the Honourable Lady knows, there is an ongoing inquiry into COVID, and it's right that that process followed, and I look forward to providing my own evidence. But if she had taken the time to actually read the evidence submitted to the inquiry, she will have seen that the person she mentioned, the Chief Science Advisor, confirmed that he did not hear me say that, and that's because I didn't.
Well, there we go. Finally, a denial. I mean, a lot of Tory advisors I know were banging their heads against walls about this, wondering what on earth Downing Street were up to, letting this story just run for 2 days. They said, oh, well, we've been told by the lawyers that we mustn't comment on the evidence as it happens. But if you can't deny that you wanted to kill people, what can you do in politics?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even it wasn't a direct quote. It was Vallance quoting something that Dominic Cummings had said to him, characterising the views of Rishi Sunak. The fact that they were so flat-footed about it is pretty extraordinary. I've just had another message from one of the people who was moaning, going, finally, he's actually said, it wasn't me, Gov.
Is there a possibility that it was such a kind of cool and deadly thing that Rishi said? They wanted to give people 48 hours to imagine him being so kind of outspoken and murderous as to say something like that before go, no, he's the same boring bean counter you always thought he was.
Do you think he's going to take 2 days, if every question they ask him at the COVID inquiry, is going to take 2 days to come up with his answer?
We could be there for some time. I liked the way as well that he started his answer to that by saying the Honourable Lady knows that there's an inquiry. Yeah, yes, she does. She's just asked you about it.
At some length.